You want to talk here 20 seconds Toronto?
Yeah. No. طيب بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تمسك بسنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, after praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and sending the salutations upon the Messenger alayhi salatu salam and upon his family and his companions and upon all those who follow upon his guidance and to the establishment of the last day, to proceed, ikhwan. فَاللَّهُمَّ إِنَّا نَعُوذَ بِكَ مِنْ عِلْمٍ لَا يَنْفَعُ وَمِنْ قَلْبٍ لَا يَخْشَعُ وَمِنْ نَفْسٍ لَا تَشْبَعُ وَمِنْ دُعَاءٍ لَا يُسْمَعُ. Verily, Allah, we seek refuge with you from knowledge that has no benefit, and from a heart that has no fear, and from a soul that has no satisfaction nor contentment, and from a dua that goes unanswered, and from a dua that goes unanswered. ثم أما بعد, to proceed, إخوان, ونواصل معكم في هذا اليوم المبارك عونا من الرحمن الرحيم. عونا من الرحمن الرحيم. So we continue in this blessed and noble day of ours, seeking the aid of our Lord, the most merciful and the most compassionate. مستفيدين ومتعلمين من اللغة العربية. اللغة العربية. So as we continue to learn and try to educate ourselves, learning from the science of the Arabic language. The science of the Arabic language. طيب فلأصحاب الكتب فوصلنا إلى صفحة وعليك السلام ورحمة الله إلى صفحة 100 تماما. So for those that have the book, we have arrived at page number 100. At page number 100. طيب فمن يذكرنا بشيء تعلمناه قبله. تعلمناه قبله. Who can mention something that we had the honor to learn previously? No.
جملة اسمية وجملة فعلية.
أحسنت. فتعلمنا قبل يا إخوان أن في لغة العرب أن الجملة تنقسم إلى القسمين. الجملة تنقسم إلى القسمين. So one of the things that we had the honor to learn previously was that in the Arabic language, there are only two types of sentences. In the Arabic language, there are only two types of sentences. Bihamdillah. الأولى تسمى الجملة الفعلية. The first of the sentences in the Arabic language is called الجملة الجملة الفعلية. الجملة الفعلية. The first of these types of sentences is called الجملة الفعلية. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله. The verbal sentence. The verbal sentence. And the second type of sentence, ya ikhwan, is called الجملة الاسمية. الجملة الاسمية. So the first type of sentence Bismillah, is called جملة الفعلية. Second type الجملة الاسمية. Alright, first type is the verbal sentence. The verbal sentence. Second type is the nominal sentence.
Assalamu
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you, Sheikh?
alaikum. I can't complain.
Allahu Akbar. We're talking about the two types of sentences in the Arabic language. There are only two types of sentences. Allahu Akbar. The verbal sentence and the nominal sentence. The verbal sentence and the nominal sentence. Sorry, it was not letting me type as I want. All right, two types of sentences. First type of sentence is the verbal. Second type of sentence is a nominal. طيب فما معنى هذا الكلام? What does this particular speech mean? What does it mean, the nominal sentence? What does it mean, the verbal sentence? من يذكر؟ Who knows يا إخوان؟
Could the Jumla to Fi'liya, could that be like a sentence that's comprised of like it's like a verbal sentence, like a sentence showing like action?
نعم, a sentence showing action. Yes, you could say that. Allahu Akbar. نعم. Who else يا إخوان can add to that?
بدأ جملة فعلية.
بالفعل. أحسنت. So the جملة الفعلية يا إخوان نركز على شيء واحد. على شيء واحد. With regards to the verbal sentence, all we're going to do is focus on one thing. With regards to the verbal sentence, you just focus on one thing. هي الجملة التي تبتدئ بالفعل. It is the verb, it is the sentence that starts with the verb. That's it. With the verbal sentence, you're just going to focus on one thing. It is the sentence that begins with the verb. All you're going to focus on. Write this down, يا إخوان. الجملة التي تبتدئ بالفعل. الجملة التي تبتدئ بفعل. It is the sentence that begins with the verb. الجملة التي تبتدئ بفعل. It is a sentence that begins with a verb. 10 times each, ikhwan. Two types of sentences. جملة الفعلية وجملة الاسمية. The verbal sentence. Naam, you can go to YouTube, inshallah. It should be broadcasted there. May Allah bless you all. And the nominal sentence. طيب الجملة الفعلية. What is جملة الفعلية؟ نركز على شيء واحد. We're going to focus on one thing. الجملة التي تبتدئ بفعل. It is the sentence that begins with a verb. That's it. The sentence that begins with the verb. طيب هذا مفهوم يا إخوان؟ Everyone understands that? Allahu Akbar. Two types of sentences. One is al-fi'liya and one is al-ismiya. Jumlatul fi'liya, jumlatul ismiya. The verbal sentence, the nominal sentence. As for the verbal sentence, jumlatul fi'liya, what is it? Al-jumlatul lati tabtadi'u bifi'l. It is the sentence that begins with the verb. مثال هذا, an example of this يا إخوان. مثال هذا, an example of this. مثاله, example. وعليك السلام.
My screen froze. I was trying to write the sentence in Arabic, but it stopped at said and then it stopped.
Try it again. تبتدئ بفعل. That begins with the verb. طيب مثال هذا, an example of this يا إخوان. مثاله, an example. يذهب الطلاب إلى الجامعة. إلى الجامعة. يذهب الطلاب إلى الجامعة. The students are going to the university. The students are going to the university. The students are going to the university. يذهب الطلاب إلى الجامعة. The students are going to the university. فهذه الجملة يا إخوان تبتدئ بفعل. So this sentence begins with the verb. وهو يذهب. And it is the verb to go, or he is going. Right? طيب والجملة الثانية, the second type of sentence يا إخوان, الجملة الاسمية. الاسمية is the nominal sentence. Is the nominal sentence. طيب والجملة الاسمية هي مثل الفعلية وسنغير كلمة واحدة فقط. So the nominal sentence is similar to the verbal sentence, but we're going to change one thing. We're going to change one thing. So we're going to say الجملة التي تبتدئ اسم أو باسم. So we're going to say it's the sentence that begins with a noun. The sentence that begins with a noun. طيب مثاله, an example, يا إخوان, هو مسلم. هو مسلم. هو مسلم. He is a Muslim. He is someone who has submitted themselves to Allah.
عندي سؤال.
نعم تفضل.
هو بالضمير ليس اسم؟
نعم هو اسم. كل ضمير اسم. Every pronoun is a noun. So the brother's asking, هو is a ضمير. صح. The type of word it is. ضمير is a noun. هو is a ضمير, a pronoun. Every pronoun is a noun. But it's a certain type of noun. No, a pronoun. So since a pronoun, it shows it's a noun. So huwa muslimun, he is a Muslim. Or you can say al-ummu ذاهبة. Al-ummu ذاهبة. The mother is going. The mother is going. Allah knows best where she's going, but she's going somewhere. She's going to the masjid. No. Alhamdulillah. So al-muhim, that which is important, ya ikhwan, أن الجملة جملتان, that there are two types of sentences. الأولى جملة الفعلية. First type, جملة أو الجملة الفعلية, the verbal sentence. والثانية, second type, الجملة الاسمية, the nominal sentence يا إخوان. وانتبهوا يا إخوان, الترجمة ليست المعنى. ليست المعنى. Remember يا إخوان, although we translate often, we try to translate almost everything we say on our level right now, but the translations are not the meaning. If you notice, ترجمناها وشرحناها, we translated it and then we explained it. The translation is one thing. The meaning is something else. So pay attention there. Just because you translate something doesn't mean you know it. If I say, what is a nominal sentence? Or what is a jumlatul ismiya? And you say a nominal sentence, that's wrong. That's the translation. If we say, what is a jumlatul fi'liya? And you say a verbal sentence, هذا خطأ, that's a mistake. If you say, even in English, what's a jumlatul ismiya? And you say a sentence that begins with a noun, that's correct. The meaning is one thing, the translation is something else. Sometimes we get stuck on translations, ya ikhwan. Remember, the meaning is one thing, the translation is something else. So this is what I want you to understand, ikhwan. The meaning. What is a jumlatul fi'liya? What is a jumlatul ismiya? You're going to learn in Arabic, al-jumlatul lati tabtadi'u bismin aw bi'ismin, the sentence that begins with a noun.
So in explaining these, so if somebody was to ask you what it is, so you would actually have to throw back at them what it is in Arabic, then you would be saying what it is.
Yeah, there's a difference, ikhwan. We say often, the translation is one thing, the meaning is something else. Two different things. Right? I'll give an example. أمثل لكم إن شاء الله. We'll give another example. كلمة الصلاة. The word الصلاة. طيب. The word الصلاة. كيف نترجم هذه الكلمة? How can we translate? Listen to my sentence. Listen to my question. How can we translate this word? Give me the translation of الصلاة. Translation.
It would be the prayer.
The prayer. جميلة. طيب. الآن ما هو المعنى? Now, what is the meaning of it. Watch how it changes. Translation, the prayer. طيب. Islamically, في الشارع, in the legislative sense, لهذه الكلمة معنى. This word has a meaning. This word has a meaning. لها معنى. The word الصلاة, or the prayer, has a meaning. The translation is one thing, and the meaning is something else. The meaning you're going to say now, من أيسر تعريفات هذه الكلمة عند العلماء, from the easiest of definitions of this word, according to the people of knowledge, of the prayer. Look how it changes. They say, طيب, هو الأقوال المخصوصة والأفعال مخصوصة التي تبتدئ بالتكبير وتنتهي بالتسليم. The scholars of Islam, they say, the meaning of the word prayer, it is specific words and specific actions that begin with Allahu Akbar and end with at-taslim biniyati at-taqarrubi ila Allah. All of that with the intention of seeking closeness to Allah. That's the meaning of prayer. So you're going to say, for example, the prayer, it means al-aqwalu al-makhsusa. Al-makhsusa. Specific words. Wal-a'malu al-makhsusa. Now you're going to define the thing. Al-makhsusa. So specific words and specific actions التي تبتدئ, that begin التكبير with Allahu Akbar وتنتهي التسليم بالنية, always intention, بالنية التقرب إلى الله, with the intention of seeking closeness to Allah. وَتَقَرُّبِ إِلَى Allah. Now you have defined prayer. So the translation is one thing, ikhwan, as we always say. But the meaning, don't focus on translations ever. La, that's not the point. What's the benefit of studying the language if we're going to focus on translations? No benefit. No benefit at all. So you're going to say al-aqwalu, and I want you to try to memorize it, ikhwan. Al-aqwalu makhsusa, specific words. Wal-a'malu al-makhsusa, and specific actions. The prayer has certain things you have to say and certain actions you have to do. Allati, that which begin. When does the prayer begin? With Allahu Akbar. And it ends, when does the prayer end? When you say Assalamu alaikum. When you say Assalamu alaikum, the prayer is over. In niyati, you have to have a niyyah, have to have an intention. Without an intention, there is no prayer. At-taqarrubi, the intention has to be seeking closeness to Allah, or the reward of Allah, or the intent of Allah. All of this is the meaning of that one word, as-salah. The translation is one thing, the meaning is something else. So although we translate, because we speak English, so no problem. When you translate, no problem. But don't focus on translations, ya ikhwan. You're going to make a lot of error. So you're going to say, make it easy, certain words and certain actions that begin with Allahu Akbar and end with Assalamu alaikum with the intention, has to have an intention. No intention, no salah. With the intention of seeking closeness, you can say nearness to Allah. So this is the meaning of salah. Right? So what's the point of all of that, ikhwan? There's a difference between the meaning and the translation. That's it. The word Muslim in the language, someone who submits. You're not saying who he's submitting to. In the language, it means to submit. Someone who submitted. Submit to who? Her husband? No. His wife? No. His sheikh? No. His imam? No. The prophets and messengers? No. The one who submits to Allah. That's the Muslim. So the word has a meaning and the word has a translation. So although we translate from time to time, don't focus on translations, ya ikhwan. Who doesn't understand? Man la yafham. جميل. طيب والجميع. Anyone has anything to add, ya ikhwan?
So don't. I'm almost done writing. Just hold it still for a second.
Right. So now, when we get to the level of not just merely focusing on translations, you're going to stop and ask yourself, what does that mean? I know the translation. What does it mean? Two different things, ikhwan. And this is why I'm against translating everything. Most of the imams and the students of knowledge that we have, Allahu Akbar, and may Allah raise them and reward them and their families for all their efforts. But sometimes all of the classes are all in English. The Jumu'ah is all in English. The lessons are all in English. Everything's in English. So when are we going to learn Arabic? And it also shows the person that I don't need Arabic because everything is translated. And that's a misconception. Just because a lot of books are translated, most of the books that are explanations are not in English. These are just the beginner books. If you really notice, the books that are translated are beginning books. There's not a detailed translation in English in most books. You have to study the Arabic to get that. Most of the brothers only translate the general books or a chapter here or a chapter there. But the book itself is in the original language. For example, maybe you brothers and sisters could be the one to encourage the communities to get back to Arabic. Or the thirst for studying Arabic. No.
What is, you know, right there where it says, Etokaru?
No.
What's over there?
Fatha.
No, that's a Fatha. Okay. I said it right.
No. You read it correctly. Without the vowel. Allahu Akbar. التقر. نعم فتحة. التقربي. نعم.
Right.
طيب.
بارك الله فيك. I have it.
وفيكم بارك الله. طيب نبدأ إن شاء الله. Let's begin يا إخوان. طيب تفضل يا أبا زبير اقرأ الجملة الأولى. Read sentence number 1.
طيب. وصلى سليم وإبراهيم إلى مكتب البريد المركزي.
ما شاء الله. So he says Salim arrived and Ibrahim. So Salim and Ibrahim arrived at the Al-Barid al-Markazi, at the central post office. No. Says Aisha, تفضلي الثانية. You read number 2.
قابل سليم موظف البريد وطلب منه أن يسجل له رسالة.
ما شاء الله. So she read, يا إخوان, she says Salim met, or you can say he faced. It appears he met. He met, or he faced, or he turned towards. You can also say that. The official of the post office, موظف البريد, the officer or the official of the post office. وطلب منه, and he requested from him, أن يسجل له رسالة, for him to register or to record the letter, to register his letter or the letter. No. Sheikh Nakir, تفضل الثالثة, number 3.
Where the blue thing is?
نعم.
All right. أخذ موظف بريدي
Good.
قيمة تسجيلي
Good.
وأعطاه إنضالا إيصالا
Good.
بذلك.
MashaAllah. So our brother read,
Chris, you're leaving.
أخذ الموظف البريد. So the official of the post office took. What did he take? The price of the registration. وأعطاه إيصالا, and he gave him a receipt. Meaning the official of the post office gave a receipt to Salim. بذلك, for that. طيب. Hussein. Sheikh Khalid, تفضل. Read the next sentence.
طيب. اشترى سليم فوابع فريد بخبزة ريالة من شباك
مجاوري. Accent. So our brother recited, he says, Salim brought, or he purchased, stamps of the post office. Tawabi'a barid. He brought stamps of the post office, or postal stamps. بخمسة ريالات, by or for 5 riyals. For 5 riyals. من الشباك المجاوري, from the neighboring window or the adjacent window. And from the adjacent window. طيب نتكلم يا إخوان عن بعض هذه الكلمات. So let's get some benefit from some of the vocabulary إن شاء الله. طيب تعلمنا قبل بحمد الله كلمة وصل. We learned the word وصل before. وصل. وترجمناها to arrive. To arrive. You can say to reach. No. To arrive or to reach. وصل. You can also say to join. You can also say to continue. No, not to continue. طيب.
نعم يا شيخ.
تفضل.
Now when we say أين وصلنا, does it mean where do we stop?
Not where did we stop, but where did we reach? Where have we arrived at? أين وصلنا? Where have we arrived? Where have we reached? If you say where did we stop, will be the verb وقف. Now that will be more. Where did we stop at? وصل is to arrive or to reach. Where have we reached? Say you're talking about a book. أين وصلنا في الكتاب? Where have we arrived? Where are we in the book? Where have we arrived at in the book? For example. No. وقف can also be to stand. So pay attention there. No. And this happens, ikhwan. A lot of words have multiple meanings. Depends on how you use them. Sometimes the meanings can be opposites to one another. And that's when it's really tricky. No. So if you say, as our brother Ibrahim is saying, Aina wasalna. Aina wasalna. What you're really saying is, where have we reached? You're talking about a book, for example, or a class. Where have we reached in the class? Where are we? No. Alhamdulillah. Yeah. So the word wasala means to arrive, to reach. Where have we reached? Where have we arrived? If you're traveling and you just wake up and you say, Ikhwan, aina wasalna? Where have we arrived? Where have we reached? Where are we? From the verb wasala. طيب. The next word, Ikhwan, is the wow. The wow. انتبهوا هنا. Pay attention here. The wow. كثير من الإخوة يخطئون في هذه الكلمة. Many of the brothers and sisters make a mistake regarding this word, the wow. The wow here is and. نترجمها and. We translate it to be and. ولكن كما قلنا الفرق بين المعنى والترجمة. But as we mentioned from time to time, there's a difference between the meaning and the translation. طيب. So what's the benefit of the wow, يا إخوان? الواو يفيد المشاركة فقط وليس ترتيب. Now pay attention here. What's the benefit of the wow? الواو يفيد المشاركة دون الترتيب. Now pay attention here, يا إخوان. If you don't get this right now, no problem. It's not going to harm. But if you understand this, Allahu Akbar. That's a blessing. The benefit of the wow. الواو يفيد. What does the wow benefit? The wow benefits one thing. المشاركة. Participation. That the thing is shared. The action is shared. دون الترتيب. And it has nothing to do with order. Nothing. The wow has nothing to do with order. Pay attention there, ya ikhwan. With the wow, all you're saying is that whatever the action is, it was shared between this one and that one, or multiple people, depending on who's mentioned. So the wow benefits the action is shared. That's it. Without showing order. Has nothing to do with who did it first, who did it second. Nothing to do with that. A verb was mentioned, 2 people did it, or 3 people did it. That's it. Who did it first? Allahu Alam. The wow has nothing to do with that. So we give an example. نمثل لكم. We give an example. نقول, we say for example, شربت عائشة الحليب والعصير. So listen to my example. شربت عائشة, Sister Aisha, she drank الحليب والعصير. Look at my example يا إخوان. Let's add our vowels. شربت عائشة الحليب والعصير. بسم الله. والعصير. Okay, we say Aisha, our sister Aisha, she drank the milk. Aisha drank the milk and she drank the juice. All right, which one did she drink first? Trick question. All of you are going to get a chance to reply. Which one did she drink first?
She drank the milk first.
So our beloved brother says the milk. Oh yeah, who else? Abu Zubayr. Which one did she drink first?
No, I said I'll see it.
The juice. I'll say it. Allahu Akbar. Sheikh Ibrahim. Which one did she drink first?
Milk.
The milk. MashaAllah. Who else? Sister Aisha. Which one did she drink first?
The milk.
The milk. Right. Who else? Sheikh Khalid. Which one did she drink first?
We don't know.
No one knows. We don't know. All right, that's everyone. Sheikh Nakir, Ajabta, you answered?
Yes, I said milk.
All right, that's everyone. Sister Nirma's not here tonight. Sister Zakia's not here?
Yes.
Oh, Sister Nirma, Allahu Akbar.
Yes.
Which one did she drink first?
It doesn't say because it has no, the wow has no order.
MashaAllah. Okay. All right, so some of our brothers had the madhab milk. Some of the brothers and sisters said juice. Someone said, we don't know. Someone said, it doesn't say. Those that say we don't know, it doesn't say, they're correct. The wow, pay attention here, Ikhwan. Many of us make this mistake, even in the Quran. I will give you a verse that many of us we get wrong. So the wow has nothing to do with order. Nothing. Although we mentioned halib first, the wow has nothing to do with order. So if we say she drank the milk and then she drank the water, that's wrong. We didn't say that. If we say she drank the juice, and then she drank the milk. That's also wrong. What's the proof? The wow. This wow has nothing to do with order. Nothing. Not one thing.
That was a trick question right there.
Yeah, I mentioned that. That was to see who's paying attention. The wow, what I want y'all to understand is two things and two things only. The first is that the wow has nothing to do with order. That's it. The first thing I want you to understand. The wow has nothing to do with order.
Is that in every case?
In every situation. This is in the language. Allahu Akbar. Nothing to do with order. Second thing.
Even if it appears in the Quran, like when it says something, wow, something, wow, like, because you see it often in the Quran.
Yeah. You see it in the Quran and the Sunnah many times. It's in the language, the wow. But it has a meaning.
It has nothing to do with order.
That many of us, the non-Arab, when we translate once again and not focus on the meaning, we actually take away. As I'm going to give you an example, a known example. And the second thing is that the wow shows that the action is shared. That's it. That's all it does. Two things. Nothing to do with tartib, nothing to do with order. وَيُفِيدُ الْمُشَارَكَةِ. And it shows that it's shared. What's the verb? Sharibat. Okay, who did it? Aisha. What did she drink? The halib and the asir. The milk and the juice. What did she drink first? Is not mentioned. The wow has nothing to do with order. It could be she drank the juice first and then the milk. Allahu Akbar. It could be that. It could be she drank the milk first and the juice. Allahu Akbar. That's not the point. The point is what? That she drank both of them. It was shared. That's the point. We'll give you another example to make it more clear. We'll give you an easier one. We'll give you an easier one. Oh yeah. Write this example down, ya ikhwan. Ra'aytu Muhammadan wa Aliyan. I just entered this example down also. Ra'aytu Muhammadan wa Aliyan. Afwan. Oh yeah. I saw Muhammad and Ali. Ra'aytu Muhammadan wa Aliyan. I saw Muhammad and I saw Ali. Now remember the wow. The 2 points of wow. يفيد الواو المشاركة دون الترتيب. The wow benefits that is shared and it has nothing to do with order. Okay. Ra'aytu. I saw. Who did I see? Muhammadan wa Aliyan. I saw Muhammad and Ali. Just because I mentioned Muhammad first does not mean I saw him first. The wow has nothing to do with order. Nothing. Tfadal.
How do we know? Because based on what you're saying, I don't know, like, there was certain ayat in the Quran that, were taught. And from what I was taught, it was, the emphasis was on what was the emphasis, the more important thing in certain ayat is what comes first. I mean, I could be wrong.
Okay, that's not all. In some instances, yes, but that's not always the case. In some examples, like what we're talking about now, depending on what's mentioned, if it's wow, has nothing to do with order. Even if it's mentioned, even if something is mentioned first, like this example here, just because Muhammad is mentioned first, doesn't mean he was the one that was seen first. What's my proof? The wow. In the language, the wow has nothing to do with order. Nothing. All this shows is whoever I saw both of them. That's it.
So would it be like for like nouns, like two people or two places if there's a wow, like that?
It could be
You know what I mean?
nouns, it could be verbs, it could be 2 of them, 7 of them, 12 of them, 100 of them. If the wow is mentioned, it has nothing to do with order. Nothing. I give you another example. We're gonna make it more clear, inshallah, ya ikhwan. طيب. صلى. This one's really gonna blow your mind. صلى المسلم. صلى المسلم العيد والجمعة. This should be it. Meme, يا اخوان. طيب, look at my next example. طيب. صلى المسلم. The Muslim prayed. The Muslim prayed. Wait, what did he pray? Al-Eid. He prayed the Salah of the Eid. Wal-Jumu'ata. And the Salah of gathering, the Jumu'ah. The Muslim prayed the Eid and Jumu'ah. Listen to my question. What did he pray first?
If it's during the time of the Eid, it would have to be the Eid prayer because it takes the place of Jumu'ah. So if you didn't pray the Eid prayer, then it was incumbent upon you to pray the Jumu'ah prayer.
But
If it fell on a Friday.
In this sentence, what did he pray first?
Yeah. Would be Salah the Eid.
Why do you say that?
I don't know. I was looking at scenarios. Like,
don't make it difficult. Look at what's in front of you. Look at my sentence. I don't want y'all to look at no verse, no hadith, no scenarios. No, look at my example. Look at my sentence. That's it. From the sentence. Hey, from the sentence here, because we can give many scenarios that a person can pray the Eid before Jumu'ah. That's the origin. But there are other scenarios where someone prayed the Jumu'ah before the Eid. Maybe he woke up late. Maybe he didn't know it was the Eid. There are many examples you can mention. That's not my point. My point here, ya ikhwan, is one point. Look at this sentence right here. صلى المسلم العيد والجمعة. The Muslim prayed the Eid and the Jumu'ah. My question is, which one did he pray first?
You don't know.
Why don't you know?
Well, because of the wow.
Because of the wow. That's it. What does the wow? What does the? You guys are with me?
No. Like, I get it. Like, I understand. But what I don't understand is how you can see the difference. Like in the Quran, like there's so many different verses. Like the brother was saying, I have no idea now. Like what would take precedence? Like
what you gotta mention. I'll give an example.
I don't know.
I'll tell you. Let me finish this benefit here, and I'll give an example in the Quran. The point here, ya ikhwan, the same thing when you're reading the Quran. You have to look at what's being mentioned. Sometimes we read the Quran and we think that something is mentioned, but it may not be. And this is my example here. Look at this verse here. I believe the verse comes, ya ikhwan. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I believe in Jews. إذا تبارك وقد سمع. طيب, where Allah Ta'ala says, يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا وقودها الناس والحجارة. Allah Ta'ala, He says, O you who believe, قوا أنفسكم. Now pay attention here, ya ikhwan. This is going to really blow your mind. قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. Right. Allah Ta'ala says, قوا, save, أنفسكم. First time I translate it how most of us think, and then we translate it correctly. First I'm going to say how most of us translate it, which is wrong. قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. Right. This first way is the mistake. We'll say that again. If someone listens late or comes in the middle of the lesson, they won't think that we're translating it this way. This first example is incorrect, but it's popular. It's famous amongst many of the non-Arab. It's how we translate it. So the person says, it's the incorrect way. Oh, you who believe, save yourselves, and then save your families. Or families, the plural. This is the incorrect way. Save yourselves, and then when you are safe, then you save your families. They say then, but Allah didn't say then. And that's why studying Arabic, ikhwan, and there are many examples of when the non-Arab, us, translate the verse or the hadith incorrectly, and we don't even know it. There are many. We gave one weeks ago with the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. One of the most popular translations is in the name of Allah. Almost every Quran you look is going to say in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. That's wrong. The Arab does not understand in the name of Allah. No, not one of them. They don't say in Allah's name. Never. That's the non-Arab translation, or a translation that's adopted. At any rate, this is incorrect. Save yourselves and then save your families. No. The word, the wow. قُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Forgot my wow, ya ikhwan. Wa. The wow. Pay attention to the wow. We mentioned what? Two things about the wow. According to the Arabic language, is the first benefit al-musharaka, that the verb, the action is shared. That's it. Biduni tartib, and it has nothing to do with order. Nothing. طيب. The correct translation. Now this is what Allah is really saying. When you go back to the tafsir, you're not going to see save yourselves and then your family. You're not going to see that. You're going to see this. When you go back to the explanation, you're going to see save yourselves and your family. Two different meanings. Because of the wow. The wow has nothing to do with order. Allah's not saying you wake up for salah and then you make your wudu and then you pray your salah and then you go back upstairs and wake up your husband. No. You don't wake up, go make wudu, pray your obligatory salah, and then come back and wake up your wife. No one does that. No Muslim who understands his Islam is going to do that. You're not going to make your salah and then after you're done, go wake up your son. No. And then try to use this verse as a proof. Never. You did it wrong. You wake up. You may make wudu first, or you may wake up and then wake your family up first. No problem. But you save yourself from the fire and your family. Save yourselves and then your families. The last of the verse was from a fire. or fire fail. Save yourselves and your families from a fire. You get out the fire and then you go back in the fire to get your family. La. The wow is mentioned. The wow means musharaka. Biduni tartib. It's shared. And it has nothing to do with order. The point is that whatever the verb is, it is shared amongst the people, or two or three, whoever's mentioned. So you save yourselves. You seek knowledge. And then after you become a sheikh, you're going to go back and teach your wife now? No. While you're removing yourself from the hellfire, from ignorance, you teach what you learn. You learn something, teach it. Learn something, teach it. Or you learn it together. In every aspect. You save yourself from the fire. You don't go back in the fire and get your family. No. While you're getting out of the fire or protecting yourself from the fire, you also protect yourself and your family from the fire. Here is the wow. It has nothing to do. Give an example. Yourselves are mentioned first. It's not about who is mentioned first with regards to the wow. Fadl Sheikh Khalid.
I don't mean to keep asking. I just want to make sure that I understand.
That's fine. You can ask as many questions you wish.
Yeah, I want students to forgive me for this. I just want to make sure I understand. Again, what you're saying, I completely understand. 100%. What I don't understand is how is it just the context, like of the sentence? There's like, for example, I was taught, I don't remember what Surah Al-Hujurat, where Allah says, وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرَ وَالْفُسُوقَ وَالْعِصْيَانَ أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الرَّاشِدُونَ.
Good.
I was taught that the kufr is first. Then
is mentioned first.
But I was told that, okay, then he must have told me incorrectly. So it has nothing to do with the kufr. The actual action of disbelief is more important because it's mentioned first. It has nothing to do with that.
No, now don't get me wrong. See, that's why I mentioned a few things. Now, one may have more emphasis or one can be more important. Yes. But that has nothing to do with the wow.
I understand.
Now, something, yes. Something, for example, something can be mentioned. Something
for ayah 6.
Uh-huh.
So for ayah 6, it's like it's a healthy verse, but it has wows everywhere.
Okay. Whenever, listen, Ikhwan, I think y'all getting a little too complex. The point here.
I understand you though.
Now, there are some instances, yes, where some things may have more emphasis on other things, or maybe more important than other things. If a man walks in the masjid and he's wearing gold, he has on gold. Gold is haram, but he does not know how to pray. He has on gold. Gold is haram, but he does not know his salah. Nobody of knowledge, no one who has knowledge is going to start his da'wah with this brother and start with gold. Why? Because salah is more important than gold. So some things may be more important. Allahu Akbar. Some things may have more emphasis. Allahu Akbar. But that's not my point here, ya ikhwan. My point here is regarding the wow only, not what has more virtue, not what has more emphasis. That's not the point. What I want you brothers and sisters to understand is when you see the wow, memorize 2 points. One, it shows al-musharaka, that the thing is shared with whoever is mentioned with it. And number 2, the wow has nothing to do with order. The verse Sheikh Khalid is talking about, yes, some things are more emphasized or more detrimental than others. Of course, kufr is more severe than fusuq. Yes, it's more severe. Fusuq, you can be a fasiq, but you still can be a Muslim. Kufr can take a person outside of Islam. One is, of course, more serious, more harmful, more detrimental. Yes, but that's not the point here. The point here is when you see the wow, you see and. That wow has nothing to do with order. It has something to do with it being shared. And it has بدون ترتيب, nothing to do with order. But there are many verses you can mention that this thing was mentioned first. And the fact that it's mentioned first because it has more emphasis. Yes. But it doesn't mean that it came first. That's not the point if the wow was mentioned. That's all I want you to understand. In the language, the wow, you say, many examples. Salla al-fajr wal-isha. He prayed Fajr and Isha. Which one did he pray first? In that sentence, Allah knows best. Fajr comes before Isha, yes. But in this sentence, it doesn't mean he prayed the Fajr first. Yes, in scenarios, ya ikhwan, you can bring them. That's not the point. Like the Eid example we mentioned. Yes, usually you're going to pray the Eid first. It's earlier. But there are examples that you can mention that you can pray the Jumu'ah first. Maybe he didn't know it was the Eid. Maybe he's far away from the Muslim community. By the time it reached him, it was Dhuhr time. Oh, I missed the Eid? Yes, you missed the Eid. He didn't know. No one told him. So he prayed his Jumu'ah and then he prayed his Eid, for example. And if he didn't know, he's not sinful. But that's not the point. The point is with the wow. If you see this wow, it means and. It doesn't mean then. The then in Arabic is thumma, not wow. Two different words, two different meanings. Thumma means then, not the wow. That's all I want you to understand, ya ikhwan. All right, like we go back to our sentence. وَصَلَى سَلِيمٌ وَإِبْرَاهِيم. Salim and Ibrahim arrived. Who arrived first? Allahu Alam. It's not mentioned because the wow is used, not thumma. Anytime you want to show order, you're going to use thumma. If I want to show that they did it together, you say وَصَلَى سَلِيمٌ وَإِبْرَاهِيمُ. Right, and this should be Ibrahim. Right, Salim and Ibrahim arrived. Who arrived first? It's not my point to show who arrived first. Why? Because I use the wow. Wow has nothing to do with order. So if I translate it and I say Salim arrived and then Ibrahim arrived, I'm wrong. I'm using a word that's not there. The then thumma is not there. The wow is there. If I wanted to show order, I will use thumma. Like in the verse, save yourselves and then your families. That's not what Allah said. Allah said, and your family.
So would thumma fall part of in the category of time and place?
Not really place.
Like thumma,
Thumma, the thing with thumma, ya ikhwan, thumma, the benefit of thumma is at-tartib. Yufidu thumma, yufidu at-tartib wa tarahi. Thumma shows that the thing, it shows order, that it happened one after another. That's thumma. Yufidu at-tartib.
Okay.
But the wow doesn't. You understand? Two different things, ikhwan. And this is why, and I hope the love of the Arabic language increases in you, brothers, just as it does in myself, especially when you come across things like this. No matter how good the translator is, you're coming from one language to another, and English can never capture Arabic in no instance. None. English is so weak and inferior to Arabic. So you're trying to come from one language to another language, but you're really going to just translate the meaning of it, but you're not going to capture the whole essence. It's almost impossible. For example, the word Rabb, they say means Lord. That's incorrect. For example, it can mean Lord, but it doesn't mean Lord. It's more paragraphs connected to it. It's hard to use one word to capture one word in Arabic. Like we said many times, the Bismillah, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. We have learned in the name of Allah, the most, first of all, the most compassionate or the most kind. Alhamdulillah. But the point is, in the name of Allah? No, that's incorrect. When you go to tafsir, when you go to the meaning of the Quran, it doesn't say that. And this is why we always stress to ourselves, first, and our brothers and sisters, secondly, there's a difference between the meaning of something and the translation. Just because you can translate something does not mean you know it. Many of us have learned salah means prayer, but many of us have never learned what does the word prayer mean. And there are many examples that you can mention. طيب. So let's take some more benefit, ya ikhwan. طيب, before we continue, is that a little more clear, ya ikhwan? Wallahu alam. طيب, here comes the wow again. Our second sentence, same wow. قابل سليم موظف البريد. Wow. Salim faced the official of the post office and he requested from him. It's the wow. The point is not order. It's showing that it was shared. So the wow, I want you to understand two things. It has nothing to do with order, and the main benefit of it is it was shared. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ wa إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. There are many. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ wow wa إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. This should be kasra. إِيَّاكَ, you and you alone, O Allah. Na'budu, we worship. And, not then, and wa iyyaka nasta'in. And you, O Allah, we seek help and assistance. Nothing to do with order. It's showing musharaka, that is shared. Allah, you are the one that we worship, and you are the one that we seek help in. The wow has nothing to do with order. طيب. طيب, let's take one more benefit, يا إخوان. طيب, كلمة سجل. The word سجل has a few different meanings. سجل can mean to register. It can also mean to record. سجل. It can also mean to take notes. Many meanings, يا إخوان. We'll give you a few of them. سجل, to record. to take notes, to write down. No. It can also mean to register. Sajjala. You say sajjal al-dars, record the lesson. Or you say sajjal al-dars, take down some notes from the lesson. Sajjal al-dars, register the lesson. It can have many meanings, ikhwan. And usually you can tell by the context of the sentence. Right? طيب, for homework, يا إخوان, I want you to start reading the beginning of the new passage. في مكتب البرقية البرقيات, in the office of telegrams. So I want you to begin the passage. I want you to read it, inshallah ta'ala, a page and a half between Ibrahim and the official, or maybe 2 paragraphs. Right? And I want you to read it, inshallah ta'ala, and write it. And then we'll go over in the next class, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. And I received some of your homework already, alhamdulillah. Remember, ya ikhwan, you can send your homework to the Telegram, alhamdulillah. Either you can send it to our group, or you can send it to me directly on the Telegram. It's up to you. Right. Wa alaykum salam. Tafadali.
I tried to send it to the Celestine group, but I don't see the option for message. At the bottom of the screen, it just says mute. When I look for the part where to send a message in.
Okay. I have to look at that, ya ikhwan. Well, you could just send it to me in the Telegram. Most of the brothers do that anyway. They just send it to me, and the sisters also.
I don't think I have your up on your personal way. Just the one for Imam Shopani Institute.
Okay, I'll look at it also, and I'll try to send it to you so you can have a link also, inshallah. And you can do our email, but everyone use the Telegram, so we just keep it with that, inshallah ta'ala. I'll make sure all of you have it. Just send it. May Allah bless you. Fadli ya Ibrahim.
Now, I have a question concerning knowledge. I don't know. I'm trying to look for evidence on how to reconcile the following alfaz. Awalan, most of the scholars, they have the opinion that before you can become a da'i, there is a particular shurut, which is wajib alayk an takuna aliman. That means you have to know before you can become a da'i.
Okay.
Now, the second one is concerning the hadith of, I'm not sure if it's actually Abdullah ibn Mas'ud or Abu Hurairah. He said, if not for the fact that Rasul said you should relate to people, even if it's an ayat, you should be able to tell people, you should keep his word. So does that mean whenever we learn something, we must teach, or we have to gather the knowledge before we start teaching? So I don't know how to, I'm looking how to reconcile the statement.
I mean, there's no contradiction there. A da'i is more in detail. He's not just someone who conveys. Yes, he is conveying, but he's not just conveying one thing or 2 things. Although in the language, if you convey one thing, you still da'awta, you still call and invited to it. But a da'i is someone who, like, that's his methodology, that's his minhaj. Like, he's a caller, not from time to time or 1 time or 2 times, but he calls. He makes it his business, her business, to call the non-Muslims to Allah and His Messenger, to teach the Muslims. He calls the people to al-Islam. But if you just learn one thing and one thing only, yes, you can say you conveyed it, but you wouldn't be called the da'i in the specific sense. The da'i is usually the one who calls to Allah Ta'ala, His Messenger, generally, like in a specific manner. That's his methodology, that's his minhajiyah, that he calls and invites. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, "Ud'u ila sabili rabbika bil hikmati wal mau'izati al hasana." In Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah Ta'ala says, call and invite the people to your Lord, to the path of your Lord, bil hikmah, with wisdom. So you may call someone to Allah and His Messenger using wisdom, but may not be a da'i. A da'i is someone who does it more intensely. It's not once or twice or from time to time. No, he's a caller. But every caller, correctly, has to be a student of knowledge, technically. Because like you said in the verse, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ in the hadith, بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً, that you have the Messenger of Allah mentioned, the hadith of Abdullah bin Amr al-As, collected by Imam Muslim, narrate from me what you know, even if it's one thing. So yes, you learn something, you act upon it, and you call to it. That's a commandment from the Messenger ﷺ. Now the commandment and usul al-fiqh means that it's obligatory, or it can mean that it's recommended. It depends on the actual command itself. If there's no other verse to show that it's recommended, or hadith to show it's recommended, then it's obligatory. But if there is another verse or another hadith to show, although it's a commandment, is recommended, then it's recommended. But a da'i, a true da'i, is a student of knowledge. Because if you don't have knowledge, then what are you calling to? So you have to have knowledge first. Yes, like the sheikh or someone told you that you have to be an alim. The alim here doesn't mean scholar. That's not the intent here. The intent here is that you have to be an alim. You have to be someone who knows what he's saying, what he has learned. You don't have to be a scholar. No, but you have to be an alim. You have to be a knower. You have to have knowledge of what you're calling to. You can't just go out and teach the people Quran and you've never learned Quran. You can't teach tajweed and you have never learned tajweed. But you don't have to be a great scholar of tajweed to teach tajweed. No, say you have a little bit of knowledge of it. You're not a scholar, but you have learned some principles of tafsir, of tajweed. Allahu Akbar. And you know them, you've been taught correctly, and you've got your knowledge checked, alhamdulillah, and what you understand is correct. Now you call to it. On your level, you call to it. Like the hadith says, narrate what you know from me, even if it's one thing. Many companions knew one hadith. Sometimes Bukhari took one hadith from a certain scholar, just one. And then Bukhari would come and narrate and convey that one hadith that he learned from that one scholar. So it's not about the number. It's about whatever you're calling to, you know it. If all you know is alif, ba, ta, tha, jim, ha, kha, dal, and you've learned the letters, and you know them correctly, and you teach what you have learned, that's a sunnah. It's not a condition that you have to be a scholar. No. Many of the great imams, before they were great imams, they had students of knowledge also, like Imam Shawkani, like Imam Nawawi. Many of them, they learned and they had students under them. So you may learn something generally and you know it and you understand it correctly. Your knowledge has been taught, has been checked. What you understand is correct. Now you don't have to wait until you become a scholar. No, you teach and you make the da'wah on your level. You learn one hadith. You know the hadith. You know it. And you convey it the way you heard it or the way you learned it, which was correct. Allahu Akbar. There's no contradiction there. This word alim, it can mean a scholar, but here it doesn't mean a scholar. There's a narration from Ibn Mas'ud that he used to say, إِنِ اسْتَطَعْتَ أَن تَكُونَ عَالِمًا فَكُنْ عَالِمًا وَإِن لَمْ تَكُنْ عَالِمًا فَكُنْ مُتَعَلِّمًا فإن لم تكن متعلما فلا تبغضهم بل أحبهم. أو كما قال, he used to say, if you have the ability to become a scholar, you become a scholar. Allahu Akbar. And if you do not have the ability to become a scholar, then become a student of knowledge. And if you do not have the ability to become a student of knowledge, then do not hate them, but rather love them. At any rate, the point is, you don't have to wait until you get permission or become a great big scholar. No, you have knowledge of something or two things or three things. You've been checked, especially if you learn from books. Because although you can take your knowledge from books, this is not the origin. That's a misconception. The origin is that you take the knowledge from the people of knowledge. You take the knowledge from the books when you don't have the people. Because the book could be correct, but you may not understand it correctly. And you can't ask the book. You're reading from Sheikh Fawzan's book, Hafidhahullah, and he writes down the principle. And you think you understand it correctly. You can't stop and ask the book. Am I understanding this right, ya Sheikh? No. But if you have the Sheikh, you can contact the Sheikh. Ya Sheikh, this is what I understand from what you said. Am I correct? And that's tremendous to have someone to check your knowledge. That's a blessing, especially if he's a scholar. And if you don't have a scholar, you have a student of knowledge. That's tremendous also. But the best is that you have a scholar to refer back to. And this is something I have to be more grateful for myself, ya ikhwan, as some of the scholars I had the honor to study with in Yemen are still alive, alhamdulillah. And I contact them and I ask them questions from time to time to make sure what you're understanding is correct. Just because you're reading it doesn't mean you understand it correctly. Many of the verse is right in front of you. The hadith is right there. But you may think it's saying one thing and you never get it checked and you teach what you understand, but it may be wrong to do so. And then you may misguide someone else. So to have someone that you can refer your knowledge back to, ya ikhwan, that's a ni'mah. That's a great blessing to have someone to check you. But it doesn't mean you can't call to Allah until you are a scholar. Many people misunderstand that Imam Malik, he didn't really teach the people until many of his mashaykh gave him permission. But it wasn't obligatory upon him to wait and do that. He just chose to do that. But it's not obligatory. You already have permission from Allah and His Messenger if you understand it correctly. One of the hadith you just mentioned also, the hadith of Abdullah bin Amr bin al-As. And there are many. We mentioned one verse in Surah Al-Hujurat. There are many. Allah Ta'ala says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. That's a proof in Surah Al-Asr. By the time verily mankind is in a state of loss, all of them except those who believe, perform actions of righteousness, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ, and those that call and exhort one another, they encourage one another with the truth. وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and they call one another and exhort one another and encourage one another with patience. They call, they make the da'wah. Imam Shafi uses this surah to show that knowledge comes first, and then you work upon the knowledge, and then you call to what you have learned, and then you are patient upon your calling to the people of Allah and His Messenger. So that's what I would say to our beloved brother Ibrahim regarding that. And if there's any good in that, ya ikhwan, is from my Lord. If there's any falsehood in that, it's from myself. Welcome Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. For our brothers on the YouTube, that will conclude tonight's, on the Facebook, that will conclude tonight's class, and we'll continue inshallah ta'ala at a later date. فَأَنَا أَصَبْتُ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ وَإِنْ أَخْطَأْتُ فَمِنْ نَفْسِي. Anything that we said that's correct is from our Lord. Anything that we said that's incorrect is from ourselves. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.